Students, I want to share a few stories with you from my experience in Lithuania, where I had the blessing and opportunity to spend time with the Down Syndrome Association and some of the parents who are raising children with Down syndrome. And as we are in this module of developmental cognitive disabilities, and Down syndrome falls under that category, I thought this was a great time to share my stories so that you know what is happening around the world. We are incredibly blessed with what we have in America, and that we've been serving kids with disabilities since 1975. Not always great, and we continue to make improvements, but families have had options since 1975. And in Lithuania, those official options will not begin until the fall of 2024. And it just hurts my heart that I'm not there, continuing to help move this, move all of it forward. But prayerfully, I'll get to go back to continue to help. But from January to April, I was in Lithuania on a Fulbright experience. And although I was helping a university launch disability supports and services for university students with disabilities, my heart is really in K-12 and ensuring that our students in K-12 are getting what they need. And so a woman told me about the National Down Syndrome Conference, and their plenary speaker had to drop out. And so she reached out to me and she said, "Are you available? Can we make this happen?" And I couldn't say yes fast enough. It was just such a blessing to be invited to be a speaker at such an event. So now I want to back up a little bit and tell you why it was so exciting to be a part of that event. The woman who invited me is a woman of a 5-year-old daughter, Eva, who has Down syndrome. She and her husband gave birth to Eva. They did not know in advance that she had Down syndrome, and they were incredibly blessed, but had a lot of questions, and realized that the medical community did not have a lot of knowledge for them, because in most instances when people do that blood test early on in a pregnancy, the doctors would advise to abort. And in Lithuania, very, very, very few children with Down syndrome were being born in recent, like in the last 10 years, maybe 15 years. And so Sana and her husband Saul were so blessed by Eva, and they are a Christian family, and they felt so sad and hurt and dismayed that so many people were losing out on this beautiful life of this baby that has Down syndrome. And they ended up adopting a boy with Down syndrome, and so now they have I think Eva is now 6 and Mateos is 3. And it's a busy house. They have other children as well. But what she did is she started building awareness, and she is traveling across the country, sharing virtual sessions, making videos on awareness of what Down syndrome is, and that these individuals should be valued, and there should be no pity. There should be, let's look at their potential. And she is making a difference, and babies with Down syndrome are now being born in Lithuania, and it is just so exciting. And the parent group of those who chose to keep their babies with Down syndrome 15, 20 years ago, they know how valued their children are. But now more who aren't aware of it are learning, and it is such a beautiful thing. So this is a former Soviet country. It's right on the Baltic Sea. If you can picture where Finland is, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania are just south of Finland, and they border Belarus, and then they're all former Russian states. And so many people still believe that people with disabilities should not be out in public. And that is difficult, obviously, for me, as I'm very passionate about educating individuals with disabilities. And so Sana's work in this particular field matters, and it's really exciting. So when they asked me to speak, I said, I gave them like 4 topics of what I could present on. and they chose to learn about Build. So Build is our post-secondary university option for students with intellectual disabilities. It's a 2-year program at Bethel, and it's amazing. And if you don't know about it, go onto Bethel's website and search for Build, and there's great videos there. It's awesome. So check that out. And if you work in a high school and you work with families who have kids with Down syndrome, and or any intellectual disability, so autism or Down syndrome, Fragile X, they have to be high enough functioning that they can live on their own in a dorm room with some limited support. But it's incredible. So if your school does not know about this program, please be sure to tell them. It's the only residential program at a 4-year university in the state of Minnesota. It's a great option. So back to the presentation. So I was surprised that that's what they wanted to learn about, because they're in a country where children have not been allowed to be educated, but they wanted to know about a post-secondary option. So I did the presentation, and the audience was parents of kids with Down syndrome, educators that will eventually have kids with Down syndrome in their classes, some professors, and some doctors. This event was hosted by the genetics department at the most prestigious university in Lithuania. So that says how much the work that Sana and her colleagues in the Down Syndrome Association are making, that the genetics department would see this as a valuable conference. So that just blessed me in incredible ways. So I did the presentation, I get to the Q&A session, and I'm thinking they're going to say, well, of course you can do that. You live in America and you can do that. No, the first question was, how do we get started? And it still brings me to tears, because they so desperately want to make sure their kids have options. And what a gift to be there to experience that with them and have some small moment with them to give them hope. And it was awesome, and I want to go back. And I hope you get to continue to make a difference in kids' lives, whether it be here in Minnesota, in greater Minnesota, in a different state, or maybe even somewhere around the world, across the globe. I hope that you will have those opportunities to see the difference you are making. And I know it's not always obvious, but I know it's happening every single day. The other thing I want to share is that when I was at that conference, I met 3 teenagers with Down syndrome. And I'm in Lithuania. I do not speak Lithuanian. I can say hello and thank you and good day. That's about the extent of my Lithuanian during my 3 months. These 3 teenagers spoke English and had full-on conversations with me. And shame on me, I didn't know that kids with Down syndrome could learn other languages, because here in America, in every school I was in, kids with Down syndrome were not taking their world language classes at the school. And these young teenagers, 2 young women and a young man, learned English via YouTube. And I was having these conversations with them, and I thought, there are people in this audience, not in that audience, there are people in Lithuania that don't believe people with Down syndrome should even be in public. And so the fact that they could speak English, and maybe these individuals who don't think they should be in public, they might not speak English. So if God allows me another opportunity to speak in Lithuania, I want a person with Down syndrome to be my translator for at least 5 minutes, because they are gifted in that. And that is something that they can do that not everyone else can do. And so again, as I said, there's no sense in pity, but for us to look at the potential that these students have, which I know all of you do, but pass on that message to other people. So a little bit about Lithuania and Down syndrome. Again, my heart is there, and I hope that story brought a little bit of a smile to your face today. Have a great day.